In this video, we're gonna have a little bit of fun and do something we haven't done in a while, and that's build a toy. But not just any toy, a toy army Jeep. Not that we don't always have fun on this channel, I meant we don't always build toys on, you know what I mean.
No, we get it.
Let's get into it.
We didn't get it.
Now, before we get started on this build, I want to lay down a couple of guidelines. Number one, it has to be interactive. And I'm not just talking rolling wheels, it has to actually have playable pieces. Number two, it has to be built pretty tough. That way you can give it to a kid and don't have to worry about it just falling apart. Number three, it has to be left open for imagination, which means it's not going to be covered in a bunch of detail and it's not going to be exactly to scale with all the perfect specs of a normal army Jeep. Remember, at the end of the day, it's a toy and a toy has got to be fun.
Challenge accepted.
I have created a full set of plans. It's available on our website, so just hit the link below if you want to try building it for yourself. Now, let's get started. I'm building most of this Jeep out of some pieces of 2x4. I started by cutting the rounded corners off one side and then ripping the boards down to the width of the main body of the Jeep. Then I resawed the pieces of 2x4 to the various thicknesses I needed for all the parts and cut all the various pieces to length. I started with the side panels, and to do that, I used the CA glue and painter's tape method to stick two 1/2-inch thick pieces together. I attached the template for the side panels and cut them out on the scroll saw. Moving to the pieces for the seat, I cut the shapes out on the scroll saw and used the bench sander to taper the top of the seat back. I used a 1-inch Forstner bit to drill out 2 spots on the seat base for some little figures, but you'll see those a bit later. Now for the base of the Jeep. I used a piece of 3/4 inch material, and using the bandsaw I cut out the notches for the axles and removed some of the excess material. Removing the excess material is an optional step, I just think it'll add a lot to the overall look of the Jeep. Now it's time to work on the front and back pieces of the body. The front of the Jeep is basically just a block of wood that I cut a 1/8 inch slot at a 15-degree angle to hold a piece of acrylic that I will be using for the windshield. I also drilled a hole at an angle and inserted a piece of 1/8 inch dowel for a steering wheel to attach to. The back piece is another plain block that I drilled a 1/4 inch hole in for an extra addition coming later on in the video.
I can't wait.
If you don't want to mess with acrylic for the windshield, another option would be to shorten the front piece a bit and just add a taller piece behind it. With those two pieces done, it's time to move on to the wheels. I used a scrap piece of 5/8 inch plywood and started by drilling 1/4 inch deep holes with a 1-inch Forstner bit to create wheel wells. Then I cut out the wheels with a 2-inch hole saw bit. I used the bench sander to clean them up and taper the edges. Lastly, I used a scroll saw to cut little slots to give the tires some treads. With the wheels done, it's time to move on to some fun little accessories, including a little pew-pew action.
Pew! 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 Pew!
I attached the template to a piece of 1/2 inch thick material, and before cutting it out, I drilled out the spots for the post and the barrel. I used a 1/4 inch dowel for the post and a 1/8 inch dowel for the barrel. For the next little accessory, I cut some 1 inch by 1 1/4 inch blocks from some 1/2 inch thick material. After forming them on the bench sander, I drilled out an 1/8 inch hole, inserted a piece of dowel, cut it to length, and voila, some mini gas cans. Now you've probably seen me make these figures in past videos. They're made up of a piece of 1 inch dowel that has been rounded over on one end, a 1 inch wooden bead, and a piece of dowel to hold them all together. But this time I wanted the little people for the Army Jeep to look the part. So before assembly, I used my rotary tool and did my best to carve out what I hope looks like a little helmet on their heads. We'll see. Now do you know what time it is? That's right, it's assembly time. Well, sort of. First, let's go over a few mistakes. I cut the slots for the axles too big, so the dowels were really sloppy. I fixed this by taking some self-adhesive cork pads that I normally use for coasters and cut thin strips and fit them into the slots. This ended up working perfectly. Another mistake I made was setting the dowel for the steering wheel way too low, but I can fix that a little bit later. Lastly, when cutting the slot for the windshield, I completely forgot about the side panels. But again, this is a later on Taylor problem. For assembly, I started with the seat pieces using some glue and pin nails, and I decided to paint as I assembled. I used 1/4 inch dowels for the axles and made sure to add washers that will sit between the wheels and the body of the Jeep to cut down on friction. With all the little pieces assembled and painted, I started assembling the body using my template as a guide for placement of all the pieces. I assembled the base, front, back, and 2 sides. Then it was time to head back to the shop and work on a few more details. Starting with the Jeep body, I marked out a section to cut out on each side to give it more of that classic Jeep look. And I also continued the slit for the windshield. What I didn't do is remember to record most of this. I re-drilled the spot for the steering wheel and I used a 1/2 inch Forstner bit to drill out some recesses for headlights. I felt the front still looked pretty bare, so I used my rotary tool to carve out lines for a little grille. I used my bench sander to flatten out 2 sides of some 1/2 inch dowel and attach them to the front and back of the Jeep as little bumpers. Lastly, I cut a little piece as a tailgate, and now we're ready to continue assembly. I used a silver Sharpie on the wheel wells, headlights, and part of the blaster, and then gave the body a coat of green paint. Now on to the wheel assemblies. The axles are held in place with some 1/4 inch thick strips, glue, and pin nails. The headlights are just a 1/2 inch wooden bead that I split in half, and CA glue will be plenty strong enough to hold them in place. Then it was time to stick a steering wheel on this little Jeep, along with the bench seat. To bring in more of that classic Jeep look, I attached one of the gas cans and an extra wheel to the back. I mean, after all, what is the Jeep without that classic spare? Now, we don't want to forget about the windshield.
No, we do not.
The windshield is a piece of acrylic that I cut out on the scroll saw and refined it on my bench sander. It's held in place with more CA glue. Last but certainly not least, I used my wood burner to add some little details to my little army men.
All right, men, what are you waiting for? Let's go, let's go, let's go. All right. Here, hit me the blaster. Is there? Good. We're gonna need some gas for the trip. All right, everybody get on board. Let's get this show on the road.
All right, our little toy Jeep is done, but the real question is, did we hit all of our objectives? Objective number 1 was to make it interactive, and I would say that we hit that one out of the park. We have little soldiers here that you can play with. We have little gas tanks that you can play with. We have a little blaster that pivots and comes out. We have rolling wheels. It's got all the things. Objective number 2 was to make it rugged enough to be played with without it being ruined. And I would have to say in that respect, I guess it depends on the child's age. If the child is old enough to not put these in their mouth and swallow them, then the child is old enough to play with this without ruining it. Objective number 3 was to leave it open for imagination, and I think I did okay with that. I mean, it still is this army green, but I didn't put the big star on the hood. I didn't put any symbols on it. The little blaster here comes off. You can make other little people that look different, you know, for different things, I guess. And you can always remove the gas tank. So I think we hit that one. All in all, I think this toy came out great. If I was a kid, I would have absolutely loved this thing. And there's all kinds of additional things you can add to it. I know this video is a little longer than what I usually make, so thank you to all of you who stuck it out with me. For all of you that are going to leave comments on all the things that I left out or things that I should have added, well, I have a full set of plans on my website. Why don't you print off a set and show me what you can come up with? Speaking of plans, this set of plans will be added to the free plans for all our Grove members. So if you're a Grove member, make sure to head over to the members page and print off your free copy. I know this video is a little bit different than what I normally make, so I hope you enjoyed it. If so, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, be safe and have a great day.